Every day, the world moves. Here's what actually happened and why it matters. We're tracking 7 stories that reshaped the geopolitical landscape today. From Switzerland to the Black Sea, from Westminster to the South China Sea. These are the moments that define markets, security, and the balance of power. This is your daily briefing on global affairs. Welcome to the briefing room. I'm your host. Let's go. Trump administration launches 60-day Iran nuclear sprint. Vice President JD Vance arrived in Switzerland on Sunday to begin one of the most consequential diplomatic initiatives of this year. His mission? To convert a preliminary memorandum of understanding between President Trump and Iran's president into a binding nuclear agreement within 60 days. This is the real test. The MOU is signed, but details matter. Enrichment levels, inspection protocols, sanctions relief timelines. All of it has to align within 2 months. Simultaneously, an emergency session on Lebanon was added to the agenda. Why? Because the ceasefire there is fragile, and if it collapses, so does the broader diplomatic architecture. Iran's nuclear program has been the third rail of U.S. Middle East policy for 2 decades. This represents a genuine attempt to change that calculus. Success could stabilize the region and energy markets globally. Failure sends everything back into crisis mode. Ukraine escalates campaign against Crimea fuel supply. In the Black Sea, Ukraine is methodically choking off Russia's logistics in Crimea. Yesterday, officials in Russia-occupied Crimea suspended civilian gasoline sales, effectively rationing fuel to the civilian population. Why? Because Ukraine's been launching sustained attacks on fuel depots and refineries across the peninsula. This is asymmetric warfare at its most effective. Without air superiority, Ukraine is targeting supply lines instead of troops. One fuel depot hit can disrupt operations for weeks. Russia's scrambling to reroute supplies from the Russian mainland across the Strait of Kerch. But that's exposed and costly. For Crimea's 2.5 million residents, it's a slow-motion squeeze. No fuel means no transport, no heating in winter, no industry. Ukraine isn't winning militarily, not yet. But it's winning economically, depleting Russia's resources one depot at a time. UK Labour. Infighting. Burnham's challenge to Starmer's leadership. Inside the Labour Party, a quiet revolt is brewing. Andy Burnham, the mayor of Greater Manchester, just won a special parliamentary election in a seat with a massive Labour majority. On the surface, that's a routine win. Beneath it, he's positioning himself as a challenger to Prime Minister Keir Starmer. Why now? Because Starmer's under pressure. The party's fractured. Regional leaders feel disconnected from Westminster. Burnham's bet is that he can represent the northern voice that Starmer's neglecting. This matters because Labour has only a razor-thin majority in Parliament. Any internal fracture weakens the government's ability to pass legislation or weather scandals. Starmer faces the possibility of a leadership challenge within his own party. Not immediately, but the groundwork is being laid. British politics is entering a period of internal turbulence. Lebanon-Israel ceasefire. Extended but tensions remain. The State Department secured something in Lebanon this week, an extension of the April ceasefire. 45 additional days. But, and this is critical, it's not a settlement, it's a pause. Israel continues to occupy parts of southern Lebanon. Hezbollah continues to claim it won't accept any ceasefire without Israeli withdrawal. They're talking past each other. The State Department's strategy is to buy time with parallel tracks. Security talks on one side, political negotiations on the other. The hope is that breathing room allows cooler heads to prevail. But everyone knows this can break down fast. One miscalculation, one unauthorized attack from a Hezbollah splinter cell, and the ceasefire evaporates. Lebanon's already devastated. Another round of conflict would be catastrophic for the country's economy and regional stability. So for now, the ceasefire holds. Barely. Taiwan-China standoff at disputed South China Sea atoll. In the South China Sea, tensions are mounting at a disputed atoll where Taiwanese and Chinese forces are increasingly face-to-face. This isn't new, but it's accelerating. China's been building up its military presence. Taiwan's reinforcing its positions. Neither side is backing down. The atoll in question sits at a critical intersection of shipping lanes and fishing grounds, economically valuable and strategically symbolic. Every day that passes without incident is a win. Every miscalculation could trigger a larger confrontation. The U.S. Navy regularly transits these waters, which adds another layer of complexity. China doesn't want American involvement. The U.S. wants to ensure freedom of navigation. Taiwan's caught in the middle, trying to hold ground without provoking Beijing into a larger move. It's a standoff that could define regional geopolitics for years. Britain enforces world's toughest social media ban for kids. The UK just passed legislation creating one of the world's most restrictive social media regulations, banning under-16s from platforms like TikTok and Instagram. It's sweeping. It's controversial. Tech companies are already challenging it legally, but the British government's message is clear: protecting children's mental health trumps Silicon Valley's business model. The law creates liability for platforms if they knowingly allow underage users on. It's a dramatic shift from the US approach, which has been more hands-off. If it holds up in court, it could become a template for Europe and beyond. Tech companies will adapt, they always do. But this signals a turning point. Democracies are moving toward regulating social media aggressively, treating it less like free speech and more like public health. ITI hosts The Intersect, Tech Plus Policy Summit in Washington. Today, the Information Technology Industry Council is hosting the Intersect, a Tech Plus Policy Summit, bringing policymakers, industry leaders, and strategists together to tackle the year's most pressing technology questions. On the agenda, AI governance, data centers, international competitiveness. The summit's happening against a backdrop where US tech leadership is being actively debated. The administration's pushed hard on AI deregulation, arguing that removing bureaucratic barriers is key to maintaining American dominance. But there's pushback from allied nations wanting stronger oversight, and India's preparing its own AI Impact Summit, signaling that emerging economies aren't content to follow Washington's playbook anymore. These summits matter because they set the intellectual framework for regulation over the next 18 months. Whoever shapes the conversation here shapes policy globally. 7 stories. One world. Today's news doesn't exist in silos. The Iran deal affects oil prices, which affects elections in democratic countries, which affects their foreign policy. A ceasefire in Lebanon holds because the US negotiates from strength in Asia. The UK's social media ban signals regulatory confidence that ripples across tech markets globally. These connections matter. They're why you need context, not just headlines. We live in a world of cascading consequences. The challenge is seeing the pattern before it moves you. That's what we do here. We connect the dots. Stay informed, stay ahead. If this gave you clarity, like it and share it with someone who needs to know, and subscribe for more new videos every day. I'm your host, and that was The Briefing Room.